With these can-do videos, you'll see real-life situations where you have to introduce yourself, talk about your family, or give your contact information. So, by the end, you can do them yourself in Korean. This video is a small portion of our can-do course. To get the full course, including translations, grammar tools, and assessment tests, click the link in the description. Welcome to Can Do Korean by KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 김계진입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Kejin Kim. In this lesson, you'll learn how to give your email address in Korean.
This is Karen Morris, and she's at City Hall, registering her address. The civil servant who is helping her says, "What's your email address?"
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요? 제 이메일 주소는 karen@inoren.com이에요.
Once more with the English translation.
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
What's your email address?
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inoren.com이에요.
My email address is karen@inolang.com. Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how the civil servant says, "What's your email address?"
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
First is
이메일 주소,
meaning email address.
이메일 주소,
This starts with
이메일,
email.
이메일, 이메일,
Next is
주소,
address.
주소, 주소,
Together it's
이메일 주소,
email address.
이메일 주소.
Remember this phrase because you'll see it again in Karen's response. Next is
가,
the subject marking particle.
가, 가,
Note,
가,
follows words that end in a vowel, as in,
이메일 주소,
in this sentence,
가,
marks
이메일 주소,
or email address as the subject of the sentence. Think of it as marking the thing, email address, being talked about. Last is the phrase,
어떻게 되세요?
an honorific phrase meaning, what is it?
어떻게 되세요? 어떻게 되세요?
Is an honorific way to say,
뭐예요?
meaning what is. At this point in your language learning journey, remember this as a set phrase.
어떻게 되세요?
Altogether, it's
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
This literally means email address, what is, but it translates as, what's your email address?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
Note, the Korean word for your in your email address is understood from the context of the two-person conversation. Omitting understood information is common in Korean. Remember the clerk's request. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Karen says, "My email address is karen@inolang.com"?
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inolang.com이에요.
First is
제,
my.
제.
This is a shortened form of
저,
the humble word for I, and
의,
meaning of. Together, it's
저의,
my.
저의,
This is shortened to.
제.
Next, do you remember the word email address?
이메일 주소,
Email address.
이메일 주소.
Together, it's
제 이메일 주소,
my email address.
제 이메일 주소.
Next is
는,
the topic marking particle.
는.
It marks my email address as the topic of the sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for my email address. Note,
는,
follows words that end in a vowel, as in.
이메일 주소.
Next is Karen's email address. karen@inolang.com.
KAREN 골뱅이 이노랭.com.
First is Karen's name.
KAREN
Next is the @ sign. In Korean, it's pronounced
골뱅이
Next is the domain name in Korean.
이노랭
And last is
.com.
meaning .com.
.com.
Altogether, Karen's email address is
KAREN 골뱅이 이노랭.com.
Last is.
이에요.
In this case, it's like the is in my email address is.
이에요.
Altogether, it's
제 이메일 주소는 KAREN 골뱅이 이노랭.com이에요.
This literally means, as for my email address, KAREN@inolang.com is. But it translates as, my email address is karen@inolang.com.
제 이메일 주소는 karen 골뱅이 이노랭.com이에요.
The pattern is
제 이메일 주소는 email address 이에요.
my email address is email address.
제 이메일 주소는 email address 이에요.
To use this pattern, simply replace the email address placeholder with your email address. Imagine your email address is jihye@inolang.com.
J I H Y E 골뱅이 이노랭.com J I H Y E 골뱅이 이노랭.com
Say, my email address is jihye@inolang.com. Ready?
제 이메일 주소는 jihye@inolang.com이에요.
My email address is jihye@inolang.com.
제 이메일 주소는 jihye@inolang.com이에요.
When giving your email address in Korea, if the domain is well known, you don't need to spell it out. For example, international platforms like Gmail, Gmail, and popular Korean platforms like Naver need no further explanation. However, outside of well-known domain names, it will usually be necessary to spell it out. While many common domain extensions end in consonants .com, .org, .gov, there are domain extensions that end in vowels .edu, .io, .me. In this case, the sentence pattern would be as follows. Email address ending in vowel 예요 kj _이노랭 .io 예요. 예요 follows words that end in a vowel as in .io.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
제 이메일 주소는 karen _inolang.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 jihye@inolang.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 ben@inolang.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 sy@inolang.com이에요.
kj _이노랭.com이에요. Did you notice how I omitted 제 이메일 주소는?
Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool, so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can-Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
kj _이노랭.com이에요.
kj@inolang.com. When you give your email address in response to a request, you can omit the phrase,
제 이메일 주소는
meaning my email address, because the context is clear in a two-person conversation. The sentence pattern is,
email address 예요.
it's email address.
email address 예요.
You should be aware of this shortcut, but for this lesson, we'll use the full sentence pattern.
제 이메일 주소는 email address 예요.
My email address is email address.
제 이메일 주소는 email address이에요. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say .com? .com .com and how to say inolang.com? inoreng.com inoreng.com. Do you remember how to say @? 골뱅이 골뱅이 and how to spell Karen? Karen Karen. Do you remember how to say email address? 이메일 주소 이메일 주소 and how to say my email address? 제 이메일 주소 제 이메일 주소. Do you remember how to say as for my email address? 제 이메일 주소는 제 이메일 주소는. Do you remember how Karen says my email address is karen@inolang.com?
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inoreng.com이에요.
제 이메일 주소는 karen@inoreng.com이에요. Do you remember the polite phrase meaning what is it? 어떻게 되세요? 어떻게 되세요? Do you remember how the clerk says, "What's your email address?"
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
Let's practice. Imagine you're Ben Morris. And your email address is ben@inolang.com.
ben@inoreng.com.
Respond to the civil servant's request. Ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
제 이메일 주소는 ben@inoreng.com이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 이메일 주소는 ben@inoreng.com이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 ben@inoreng.com이에요.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Sungyoung Shim, and your email address is
sy@inoreng.com.
ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
제 이메일 주소는 sy@inoreng.com이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 이메일 주소는 sy@inoreng.com이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 sy@inoreng.com이에요.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Cajun Kim, and your email address is
kj@inoreng.com.
ready?
이메일 주소가 어떻게 되세요?
제 이메일 주소는 kj@inoreng.com이에요.
Listen again and repeat.
제 이메일 주소는 kj@inoreng.com이에요. 제 이메일 주소는 kj@inoreng.com이에요. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to give your email address in Korean. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.